Welcome to episode 2 of Storytime with Sergeant Zombie. Episode 1 is on my podcast where most of my stories will be uploaded to. I'll tell you more about those at the end. So I've always wanted to play Dungeons and Dragons, and so have my friends. And only my friend Lee had played it at this time in our life about 20 years ago, and he had lots of experience. I remember we were sitting around when someone showed up, or we were hanging out the weekend at each other's house, and somebody showed up and had a copy of 2nd edition D&D. So we kept bugging Lee to play it. Now, if you don't know anything about D&D, you've probably heard of it, but it's like an interactive story where anything goes if the Dungeon Master allows it, really. There are rules, and you play up a character you make up in the world. So we're bugging the hell out of Lee, and finally he gives in. And him being a Dungeon Master was a major mistake when us playing too. So my friends, BJ, Dustin, and Nick all decided to be in a party. My stepbrother Alex wanted to play, but he for some reason was playing under the Dungeon Master, which isn't normal as far as I know. And it's been 20 years, so I'm just trying to hit the highlights of what happened in this campaign. The things I remember: Nick stole all our money and bought a horse, which we needed to get back to town, but he forgot to feed it, so it died. At some point in the game, we come across my stepbrother and a kobold who were teamed up, and to not get kicked off social media, put it nicely, they decided to ravish my friend Dustin against his will. Now, Dustin's in shock, and if you don't know what a kobold is, it's a weird rat-like creature. So the whole party attacks except for Dustin. I believe we killed my stepbrother and the kobold, which Lee thought it was hilarious because he didn't like my stepbrother Alex. Nobody did because my stepbrother was younger than us, and little brother really annoying. So, but he'd do anything to get to hang out with us. So he did whatever Lee told him to, not realizing this is not normal at all. After this battle, I kept arguing with Lee that we had to get Dustin counseling from a wizard since he was in shock over what happened. Lee got really annoyed and just says, fine, if you roll a 1 on a 20-sided dice, you can get counseling from a high wizard. I rolled the 1. Lee's head was about to explode. I think we rushed through the game because it was like a starter set. It wasn't long. We beat it, and we're all psyched up. So we want to play the second game, which is based around this haunted house. And I think it was a haunted house or something like that. It's D&D starter set, 2nd edition. So we go into this house, and the door locks, and I remember you can't leave unless you sacrifice a member of the party or solve the mystery. You're not supposed to sacrifice a member of the party. If you do give up a member of the party, I remember everyone else can leave, but you're all punished. Like the wizard can no longer cast spells, the warrior can't fight, or something like that. But my friend BJ decides, you know what, I'm going to give myself up. There was nothing in the rules for that situation. So Lee, who didn't want to play, decided, well, that's what happens. You gave him up, so, nobody can cast spells. Everybody sucks now. You can't do anything. So we're all allowed to leave with no powers or abilities. And Lee wouldn't be the DM anymore. And that was the end of D&D for me until many years later. Like about a year or two ago, I got to play at a local card or comic shop. And but I had to leave in the middle of it because somebody tried to break into my house. That was the whole thing. But it wasn't a total loss because my friend Jerry, who stayed, told me that the Dungeon Master couldn't really read, which he did seem like he was struggling when I was there. And he gave him like a riddle but didn't have the answer, and it was a complete mess. So I'm kind of glad I didn't stick around. And I can tell you, getting a consistent D&D group together, it's probably easier to do a peace negotiation between Russia and the Ukraine. It's just hard to get a group of people on a set schedule together. And if you like that story and are watching on YouTube or TikTok, know this is a sample of Storytime with Sergeant Zombie. Most stories I will be telling will be on SoundCloud, Spotify, and Anchor. Thanks for listening, and look for Storytime with Sergeant Zombie on those apps.